One of the Uber metrics that's used in our community is something called Overshoot Day, which is the day in the calendar that represents sort of the day where, we as a global community have expended the resources that the Earth is able to regenerate that year. Ideally, you want Overshoot Day to be December 31st. We only use the amount of resources that the Earth is able to regenerate every year. Well, Overshoot Day keeps moving up the calendar every year, and it's July 25th this year, which means we're using about almost two worths of planet Earth every year that doesn't get regenerated. So that tells us we're moving backward. Many other metrics that I could probably use to describe the problem. So net positive is, I believe, sort of the X.O version of sustainability, is moving beyond net zero, moving beyond zero waste, moving beyond zero water, moving beyond climate neutral towards a reparative, regenerative
system. Mm.
And so the whole notion of it is what has to be true for us to develop business models and to have businesses and enterprises adopt these regenerative business models at a profit. And what's the kind of system change that we need to see? So I set out to sort of build a global coalition advisory board around that. That included chief sustainability officers of some companies you would be very familiar with, Cisco and Logitech and AT&T and Intel, et cetera. And we formed an advisory board that was co-chaired by myself and Andrew Winston. And we set out to ask the question, led, of course, and chaired by Capgemini. 4 or 5 years later, we now have a global community of over 250 organizations that have been exposed to a sort of a maturity model on net positive. We sort of took the concepts of the book and operationalized them in the form of a framework. Andrew and Paul talk about the soul of the organization, leadership, back to the individual. What kinds of leadership characteristics would you have to look for in order to be able to make this happen? What's the soul of the organization? And so we developed a framework to measure that and to determine what needs to happen within the organization to inculcate that across its leadership.